Today on Nova Legends podcast, I have Chris and Rich Caulfield, two of the first superstars at Robinson High School. These are twins that I'd heard about, legend about years later, but it was always very murky. No one knew a lot about them. They were 74 graduates of Robinson, I believe the first graduating class, guys, maybe the second.
Second.
Second, yeah. They won a district title for the great Willie Jones there. And I know Chris is a golf pro up in Scarsdale, New York, I believe. Rich, I believe you were a business executive of some kind, but we'll get into all that, guys. Just thanks for doing this. Great to meet you.
Yes, thank you, Julian. Again, we're very humbled to be here and can be considered a Nova legend. Although we'll have to clarify that later, because I was not a legend. Maybe he was, but I wasn't.
You were a legend.
I was a wannabe.
Well, sometimes a legend could just be someone that's just kind of old, so that could.
Well, yeah, that's a qualification.
Definitely legends. Well, just to give a little bit of your background, you guys are the sons of Jack Caulfield, and
Correct.
I am a big Politico. I live in D.C. I know a lot about the Watergate matter.
Right.
And Jack Caulfield is a name that I didn't know. And when I had heard. So we have this Facebook group called Nova Legends, and we had pictures of the great players in Northern Virginia history, and of course I went to Robinson and stuff. And years ago I posted photos of you guys, and someone said, "Oh yeah, those are great players." And I asked, "Who were they?" And he said, "Well, you wouldn't know who they were. Their dad was involved in Watergate or something." And it was interesting. And then later on, much recently, Beth Abraham, a good friend of mine who taught my son, had mentioned,
Right.
"Hey, would you want to interview the Caulfields?" And
Yeah.
Beth is a very smart person. I said, "Sure," but then I hadn't put two and two together. So I said yes, but then I really didn't know exactly who you guys were. And then so I went to some yearbooks, and then I saw Caulfields playing basketball, and then I found your dad in the in Wikipedia, and I did a
Right.
little research on that, but very little about you guys after that. I think Chris played at Manhattan College
I
briefly,
did.
and my sister played there. She played at Robinson, all Met player, and she played
Oh,
at
wow.
Manhattan. But and I know that Chris is a golf pro, and I believe that Rich is a business executive. But there is very little about you guys on the record. I looked everywhere. I could, usually I try to prepare,
I
but
don't
I
know if
found
that's good
very
or
little
bad.
about you guys anywhere on the internet.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you go first?
Well, we don't know if that's good or bad, whether you can't find us or not.
It's probably good. I mean, these
Yeah, I think it's
days,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Let's just start. Let's just start this way. Let me quickly, for folks who don't know, and everyone should know this. The Watergate is 1972 when the DNC headquarters were broken into in the Watergate Hotel in D.C. And it led to Nixon's resigning from
Right.
the presidency. And there was a cover up, and your father ended up testifying in front of the Watergate Committee.
He
He
did.
had been a policeman in New York City, but he worked for the RNC and the Nixon administration, and was involved in definitely, to say the least, in hardball politics, but was not involved in a Watergate break-in. And
No.
he did testify. I think he lost his job at ATF and eventually.
Sure, yeah.
But there's very little about him. I know he had a career with a company that was related to Nixon, but
Right.
that is basically all. Why don't we start, with your father? I understand he was a basketball player and got a scholarship to Wake Forest.
That's correct.
He was a very poor kid, and I guess he
Yeah.
shot baskets on on the openings of a ladder. But tell us a little bit about Jack Caulfield, how he got into basketball.
Well, go ahead, easy.
Well, he went to Rice High School. So, it was a big high school for basketball back then.
Yeah.
And he found by putting that hoop up on that telephone pole that he was pretty good at it. He practiced and practiced and practiced. And next thing you know, he was doing pretty well at Rice, and he got noticed by guys at Wake Forest. And he went down there, and I think he played for a year and a half, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Year and a half, and then came back to New York. And next thing you know, he's getting married, and spent a couple of years in the Army. and then became a
New York City police.
New York City cop, a beat cop. And then after that, I moved up to homicide detective agents. And then there was a division in New York City Police Department called BOSSI, BOSSI, which was for basically it was for the celebrities or people who needed security that came into the city. And he started working in that area and was working with Richard Nixon and his campaign. And he actually, I think, for lack of a better term, was a bodyguard for him from the security standpoint back then. And then
Got to know people. And
Yeah.
that's how we got into that whole Nixon campaign. He just got to know the right people. And when Nixon started to run for president, he got to know some people, and they said, this guy Caulfield pretty good at what he does. Next thing you know, Nixon gets elected, and they took him on the coattails, and he's in the White House. And that's how he got his job in the White House.
It's incredible. I know while he was in the White House, he was working for the White House. He was involved in investigating Chappaquiddick, which was
Correct.
Mary Jo Kopechnik, or I forgot to pronounce her last name.
Yeah.
She was
Yep.
the woman who died under very murky circumstances, and Ted Kennedy was asked some very tough questions over the years about that. And your father was involved in bringing that case to light. It really didn't come to light in terms of there might be some things that didn't make a lot of sense about it until
Right.
1980. So it was years later. But I guess your father had something to do with that as well. So it's amazing the breadth of what he did. And I guess one thing I thought was interesting is he was not portrayed in All the President's Men. He was in the book, the Woodworth and Bernstein book, but he was not in the movie.
Right.
So he was. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, because I know a lot of the folks wrote books, made a lot of money. Your father did write a book. I understand it's a very good book, but he didn't get the fame of Watergate like some of the other characters that were involved.
Right.
Well, actually, all the proceeds from his book go to the 9/11 victims' families.
Right.
He didn't get a penny from that book.
Right.
Yeah, and believe it or not, Julian, his badge number as a New York City policeman
was 911.
9/11.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, and that's the title of the book.
I'm sorry.
That's the title of the book,
Oh,
9/11, 911.
Yeah. Do you guys remember living in New York City when he was a cop?
The city? No. I mean, we left when we were like 2 years old.
We moved to Rockland County, New York,
Mm-hmm.
which is a suburb of the city.
You know where the Tappan Zee Bridge is?
Of course.
Just on the other side of the bridge, and on the New York side
Yeah.
is right where we were.
And then I assume you probably moved to the Robinson area when he started working for the Nixon Administration in 1968.
69, actually. Yeah.
So he was down here ahead of
He
us.
came down before us, but we moved down in July of 69.
Right. And
Yeah.
by that
That
time,
was
you
the
guys.
year that was when they went to the moon. That's how I remember.
Yeah. So those are the late 60s. Those are the hippie years. So where
Yes, they were.
did you guys live in the Robinson area?
Right down the street.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, on Concordia Street. I don't know if you remember that road. It wasn't a big road. It
Yeah.
was off of Zion Drive. Used to be right over there by Robinson.
We could walk to school. That was the beauty of Robinson. We
Yeah.
could walk there.
It was so cool because everything was brand new. All the homes were new.
Yeah.
All the schools were new. I mean, it was really a remarkable time to go to high school.
Yeah.
So how did you guys get into basketball and other sports?
Through our dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he taught us.
We put up the hoop in the driveway like all kids did, and we went at it pretty good because we have an older brother, John,
Who played at
who
Robinson
played at Robinson.
the year before us.
He graduated a year before us, and one of my dad's famous lines is he had 3 Caulfields in the same game many times. And he said, I don't know how many teams can say that, but he was proud of that.
In the yearbook picture your junior year, there's another Caulfield next to you, James Caulfield. He took a picture right next to you, and I was trying to figure out maybe that was I know you had a brother.
No, it was John.
John.
It was John, not James.
Yeah, well there was a junior. It must have been just a coincidence. There was another Caulfield in your class at Robinson. He did not graduate with you guys, but your junior year there was another Caulfield in the yearbook. I'll send you the
Oh,
picture.
You would have thought we would have known him the way that school was set up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was all alphabetical.
Yeah.
We would have known him. I don't know. That might be a misprint.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Unless it's John and that's our brother.
Yeah, maybe they just got the year. They got the year because he looked just like you guys. He could have been.
Yeah.
He could have been a
That's
cousin.
him. That's him.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so when you first came to Robinson, it was your freshman year of high school,
Sophomore.
sophomore year.
Our freshman year, we went to Oakton.
Because the school wasn't built yet.
Yeah. And that was a big change. I wasn't taking a half-hour bus ride to Oakton was not my favorite thing to do. I did not enjoy that.
I have never heard that the Robinson kids went to Oakton. I would have thought Fairfax High School or
We were just talking about that earlier. It was Oakton, West Springfield, and we believe Fairfax High School all came to Robinson.
Or
Right.
some of them.
Well, not all, but yeah.
and they
a
were
lot
just
of-
building houses like crazy probably, and then they were doing
Yeah.
construction in Robinson. So your sophomore year, they probably didn't have a senior class, and they probably
Correct.
just start. Yeah.
Right.
They did not. It was junior. Was the oldest one.
Yeah.
And Willie Jones was the coach of the basketball team. Was he the first coach of the basketball team?
Yes, he was.
She was.
Right. Now, so my family was the first black family in Lake Braddock. We'd moved to Lake Braddock. We had integrated at Lake Braddock in 1971, and
Wow.
we went to Oakview because back then part of Lake Braddock went to Oakview, but then and I guess Oakview predated Robinson, and then we ended up moving to the Robinson area, and I went to Robinson. But Will Jones was one of the first black head coaches in the area. That was
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
She
the
was,
school
yeah.
had only been the schools had only been integrated for 5 or 6 years in the area.
That is
Luther
correct.
Jackson closed in '65, and all those kids, most of those kids went to Woodson. So for him to get that job, that was a huge deal for a black guy to get the job at Robinson, the new school.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, he was a legendary player. Did it occur to you that it was interesting if you had a black head coach? Was that something that was interesting to you, or
I loved it.
I did too.
He was a great coach.
Yeah. He was such a special guy. He really was.
I mean, he let us play. He taught us everything he knew. And he was a legend in DC, as you know. So
Yeah.
Funny story, Julian. When I went to Oakton, I played on the freshman basketball team at Oakton, right?
Mhm.
So I had a little tendency to be a little flashy. That was just my nature. That's the way I played. I don't know why. I just did it.
Carl Jackson calls you shake and bake.
Shake and bake. Yeah. I got another story too to tell you about that. But anyway, in my freshman year, I'm playing and I make a move and I go behind my back with the basketball, right? Next thing I know, the coach is calling a timeout and he pulls me over. He goes, "We don't do that at Oakton."
Wow.
I said, "Oh, really?" He goes, "Yeah." And then, a year later, I get to meet Willie Jones, right? And that guy was the epitome of a flashy player. I mean, I don't know if you ever seen videos of him playing, but he had moves like you can't believe. And we copied his moves. And he encouraged that. He wanted us, he wanted us to be able to handle
showed
this.
us a lot.
Yeah.
Do you
Great
remember him being a real character? Like I've interviewed
yeah.
Red Jenkins before, and Red would talk about how he get to school late every day. So they changed his schedule so he really wouldn't have a first period. He'd come in late, carrying his coffee. He would wear like high heel boots. I mean, Red, I'll have to see the Red. Yeah.
One time he wore a pink outfit at a game,
Pink suit.
Yeah.
and it lit up the place.
Yeah. They love
He was a showman.
He was a
man.
showman.
He was an
Really
absolute
was.
showman and a great basketball coach. I can't say enough about him.
Yeah. We
What
loved
was-
the guy. We really did.
Was the fact that he was African American, did it make a difference? Did people did it seem like did everyone ever comment on that? Did he have any challenges because of that or
Well,
Not with us. I mean,
no, I'll tell you a story. We went to Stewart one time to play, and that was I think just about all black at the time, maybe a couple, and there was no whites on the team.
Mhm.
But anyway, we walk in, and we're like 12 mozzarella sticks walking into the gym, with the black man leading us.
yeah.
And we all had these hats that we wore just because Willie kind of he suggested be free, be like them, you know,
Enjoy yourself.
yeah. And we would walk in like strutting, and it cracked everybody up, because we got along with everybody we wanted to. So
Yeah.
but
Well, Carl Jackson is a guard who played at TC Williams. They called him
right.
McAdoo. He's one of the greatest players in Northern Virginia history. He's known as that.
Oh
So
yeah.
he'd mentioned he listed some of the best players he ever played against, and he mentioned Chris Caulfield. That was the first time I actually heard the whole name. And he said he called him shake and bake. He said he was fundamentally sound, great vision, great dribbler. So I went back and looked at some of the your records in the yearbooks, and you never played TC Williams in the regular season. So I
We
was trying to
played.
figure out how did Carl know so much about you guys if you didn't play in the regular season?
Well, we did play them in one game, our last game as seniors in the regional semifinal,
That's what it was. Okay.
and they kicked our butts.
Oh yeah.
They were really good. But that particular game, maybe one of the reasons why he says shake and bake was, did you know the name Myron Conti, who played with
Of
Carl?
course. Played at
Yeah,
Mason. Yeah.
Myron was one of the best defensive players I've ever played against. Anyway, so we're coming down. We're at the end of the game. We're on a fast break. I got the ball on the right side, and he might have been on the left side. I don't remember. But Myron was back. It was a 2-on-1, right? So the move that I always tried to copy that Willie showed us is we would take a basketball and we would cup it against our wrist. And we'd pretend that we were going to go behind our back, but we didn't, and we brought it around. A little bit Pete Maravich-like, if you ever seen that video.
Of course.
So Willie was fabulous at that, and we'd watch him, and I got pretty good at doing it. So I'm on this fast break, and I'm coming down, and Myron's there, and he's ready, and I do the behind the thing, but I don't pass it, and Myron falls down. He just fell flat on his butt, right?
Yeah.
And I lay it in, and this is at the end of the game. We're getting killed, but all the fans on TC Williams,
Oh, they went crazy.
they went wild. Because they loved Myron and knew how good he was, but to see this white guy do this thing,
Right.
and they were up there, they were high-fiving and everything, and our fans were, they were clapping, but the other side was going even more nuts.
Yeah.
It was a funny time. It was a funny time. And then I ended up playing at George Mason University. I don't know if you know this.
No, I didn't know that. Yeah.
With Carl and Myron as a freshman. We played together. And one of the times we were playing, we had a scrimmage where it was me, Myron, Carl, a guy named Gary Reedy. I don't know if you ever heard that.
Gary was a legendary coach in the area. He had a great
okay.
career as a coach. Yeah.
So he played with us too. He went to George Mason.
Yeah.
And then we had another big guy, and we were playing the varsity seniors, right? It was a scrimmage. We killed them. And the coach, John Lynn, at that time was looking at I see him chewing his nails. He goes, "What am I going to do? These guys are so good. I got to put them in the game." But I never forgot that. We just absolutely killed them.
That behind the back move, we attributed to Sherman Douglas years later, the guy who played at Syracuse.
Yes,
But you're right.
Syracuse.
It was Maravich who did that. Who did that first? Now, did you guys know about the tension that was going on between West Springfield and TC? I mean, there was a big riot in one of the games, and I mean, you mentioned that the TC fans enjoyed what you were doing to them, but I guess they were way ahead. So it's easy to be diplomatic when you're 30 points ahead. But I guess there had been some riots in the West Springfield TC game, and that was a bitter rivalry. So you guys knew about that?
Yeah. Well, we knew Dave Kesters because we used to actually. Richie got to know Dave before I did because he worked at a summer camp with him, at a basketball summer camp, and Steve Bacon was at that camp.
Yeah.
And so we kind of knew, and then it was always discussed in the papers and so forth that there was some tension going on.
Yeah.
But it was interesting time watching them play.
Yeah, you know what happened? I was surprised when I looked through the programs that you guys weren't in the district with West Springfield and TC, and then by the time that I played, we were, and they've always been. So you guys weren't in that district. That West Springfield team is legendary. I believe they lost both years to Moses Malone, at least one year to Moses Malone.
That's correct.
Probably both years. How good was? I've interviewed Dave before, great guy. But in your eyes, how good was Dave, and how good was that West Springfield team?
Unbelievable good. They're very well coached.
Yeah.
Kester's, he had a jump shot that he must have got at least 3 feet off the ground every time.
Yeah, he could jump.
He had unbelievable jumps. and he could do it, 30 times a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great shooter. They played great defense, West Springfield.
Right.
Defense wins games. They played great defense.
Yeah.
But they were tough. We played them. We lost to them twice, I think. We lost to them in our junior and senior year.
Yeah.
We were in our senior year. We were 19-4, and then we lost that regional game to TC Williams. But we were pretty good.
Yeah.
And we won our district, as you know.
Yeah. So Don McCool is widely thought of as the best or one of the best coaches in Northern Virginia history. He won. He won a state championship at Mount Vernon in '79 after you guys had graduated, and he went to the state tournament numerous times. He'd won one in the Richmond area before he moved to Northern Virginia, but he's a wily coach. Did it occur to you what a great coach he was, the West Springfield coach?
Oh yeah, yeah. They were very well coached, disciplined, very good one-on-one team. That was their specialty, one-on-one basketball.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you ever heard the name Dale Watney. Did you ever hear that name?
No, I don't think so.
He was my brother's age. He was a year ahead of us, but we became good friends with Dale, and he was a really good defensive player. That's what that guy coached. He was all about defense.
So one of the great players in Robinson history, especially in the early days, was a guy named Chris Scott.
Yes.
And I was surprised to see in the yearbook he was on the JV team as a sophomore, which usually the great players are at least varsity as sophomores. So it just showed you how much talent you must have had for Chris to be still on JV as a sophomore. Do you remember Chris?
Yes, and that was a good team that they had. They had Joel Patton was on that team.
Yeah.
He was huge. There was another sharpshooter. I forget his name.
I forget.
Another guy who lit it up all the time for him. Yeah, they were good. They were good. Again, it was that mentality that will put everybody in. You can do this, and taught everybody, and the assistant coaches taught the JV, so they learned the same stuff that we were learning from Will.
Yeah,
yeah,
they were good.
Yeah. So guys, you're playing. This is like the golden years of high school sports in Northern Virginia. I mean, Annandale is dominating in football. TC Williams has some amazing teams. They won the state championship in 1977, one of the greatest teams in the history of the state, widely considered so. It was a great year, and you guys are on this great team. But in the background, your dad is going through all this, with Watergate and working for the Nixon administration. But that's normal in D.C. If you live in the D.C. area, you have friends whose parents are in the CIA or the FBI, and you have no idea what they're doing. It's my father was in the GAO. He was a retired military officer, but it was very normal for us not to know exactly what our parents did.
Right.
What about you guys? With all you're playing basketball, you're having success. Did you know in the background all the things your dad was going through?
Yes, we knew it. He was also very careful to protect us from the press and any potential threat, if you will, because there was a lot of hate going around then, and but he was good. He was very good about making sure that we were not in harm's way, if you will.
Right, but when the Watergate story broke, and then it dominated the news for 2 or 3 years, and I was only 8, 9 years old. I never quite understood it back then. And, with time, I understand it better, but it's one of those very fascinating stories of American history. One of the most important times in American history. But when did you first start understanding or trying to understand what the heck was going on, though? Did you have a perspective back then what was going on?
Not really. Not
vague. It was vague.
Yeah.
We knew, well, when you start seeing your dad on TV, something's going on.
Yeah.
And funny thing was, we were in history class. I don't know if you were in our class, but Watergate hearings were on, right? So all of a sudden, this teacher, she brings out a TV and she puts it in front of the class, and she puts all of us in the front watching this with all our fellow students behind us, watching the Watergate hearings. So right then you knew something was going on.
Yeah.
But it was a tough time. It was unique experience for everybody, but it was a tough time afterwards because he lost his job. There was some challenging moments that we had to deal with.
But people, even though it was on the TV, they really didn't know you guys, though. I mean, because like, again, he wasn't portrayed in All the President's Men. I mean, I know all the guys around him. Chuck Colson, Ehrlichman, John Dean. Those were household names. And again, I was very young, but even when you look at the history of it, you have to really dig to find a lot about your father on the internet. It's not everywhere.
Yeah,
So
I think the reason for that, Julian, is he was really on the peripheral of those names you just mentioned. He was not in that inner circle of Nixon's. So, he wasn't, making any executive decisions at his level.
yeah.
He worked for John Dean, and Dean was one of those guys that, was all part of that, All the President's Men. And, he took orders from Dean. So it wasn't like he had any inner circle relationship with any of those other guys.
You want to hear the funny story about this, Julian? My dad left the White House and he ended up working for ATF, as you know, right? He was second in command at ATF. But the reason he left the White House that he spoke about in his book was he saw the craziness that was happening with these people that were making these very odd and strange and dangerous decisions. And he wanted to get away from that. And then the whole Watergate break-in thing happened, and he was out of there, and then they sucked him back in. Dean used him because he needed to have a scapegoat to talk to this guy McCord and all of this. So my dad was actually all the way out of the White House when Watergate happened. He wasn't even there, but they sucked him back in, and he's the only guy that did not get indicted by the people there. They didn't indict him.
Was he bitter about the way he was treated? Look, let's face it, he did not go to jail. He did have a career afterwards, so he definitely landed on his feet. And I think most of the folks involved in Watergate did okay. So they did okay once they got out of prison or whatever happened to them. But what was his attitude about the whole situation after it was over?
He hated John Dean because he think he was a traitor, and he loved Richard Nixon, and his loyalty to Nixon was first and foremost.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did that affect you guys? I mean, did you politically, did you always definitely see the lens through your father, like tended to like Nixon and support Nixon, or did it have very little effect on how you guys saw the world?
No, it trickled down for sure.
Yeah. We, again, as Richie said earlier, we were, I don't want to say left in the dark, but there wasn't a lot of, understanding of what was going on until later on in life.
Mhm.
We saw what was happening, but we didn't know the intricacies of it. We were just we were there. We saw the press come to our house. We were besieged by 30, 40, 50 different press people. We had to go hide in the house. Richie ran across the street to his now wife, Nancy, and got in her house. Because they wanted to ask you questions, and we didn't know anything. We were dopey 16-year-old kids. What did we know, right?
Yeah.
But they thought that we would know something, but we didn't.
Yeah.
It's just, the media chasing the story.
Yeah.
Well, they thought he was one of the guys they thought could be Deep Throat all those years, right?
Right. Yeah, we heard so many names of that.
Yeah. I used to work in the next building in Roslyn where the conversations happened. So, there's a sign commemorating that space in the garage. And do you think your dad would have liked to have been portrayed in the movie? Would he like that, or is he glad he wasn't portrayed in the
Probably
movie?
not.
Probably not.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't looking for
Yeah.
any fame, I don't think.
Yeah. When people sometimes compare things that happen today, like we always compare things to Watergate, and it happens a lot. And you guys, since you might have a little bit of an insider's perspective, even though I'm sure your father kept you away from a lot of it. But when they compare things that happened in the Trump administration to Watergate, how does that make you feel? Do you have any? Does that make you guys react in any way?
No, I don't know. There are things that are going on, I'm sure, that we don't know about. That's always
Yeah.
you know, always in Washington area. I mean, like you said, I mean, we didn't know what our parents were doing, you know, what type of job they had. Uh, but it goes on all the time. So, you know, in my mind, I don't see a big difference. I mean, Washington is Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about Chappaquiddick? Did he ever talk to you guys about Chappaquiddick? That is an episode that we've never really gotten to the bottom of, and there may be nothing there. It might be a person who died of, you know, in unfortunate circumstances. But it was always a very strange episode. Did he ever talk about Chappaquiddick with you guys?
Not much.
Not much.
I know he was responsible for sending a former New York City detective up there, Tony Lasowitz,
Mhm.
to check it out, and he got everything, all the details of what happened, and then reported back to my dad. And I don't think that they did much with that story once it got back to my dad. I mean, it was obviously it hurt Kennedy's, you know, presidential chances, but I don't.
Yeah, I think that was
It wasn't any prosecution or, you know,
No.
really. He never did. Did he ever admit his guilt on it? I don't remember.
No, but what I read, and you guys probably know, is that he uh, it was unclear. The body was still around, and they had said that they couldn't perform autopsy because the body had already been returned to her family or whatever. And your father, and the guy that worked for him had exposed that as not being necessarily correct. That little fact wasn't revealed until 1980. I guess Kennedy was running for president at the time, Edward Kennedy. So, but it was because of your father and the guy who was working for him that was finally brought to the attention of the media. It was I don't think it was ever prosecuted, but I think that probably did hurt Kennedy's chances of beating Carter in the primary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Julian, thinking back on that, I think in my dad's job and that whole thing was mostly political, just to see how it would affect Kennedy's run for the presidency,
Mhm.
not to so much prosecute him, but
Yeah.
just to see how politically it would affect his future possible running, you know?
No, no,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, it's fascinating. Well, let's get back to Robinson for a minute. What did you guys think about going to like a brand new school? I mean, we talked about the basketball and trying to build, I guess, a basketball culture there with this great coach. But did it occur to you, you guys are going to a brand new school without any kind of tradition or like any kind of history?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, that's why we're on this show. No.
Yeah.
But you know, playing in a 6,000 seat arena, for God's sake, I mean, that was so
Yeah.
dramatic.
And filling it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And filling it up. We
Oh,
get,
is that right?
oh yeah, we used to fill it up
Yeah.
for home games. Absolutely.
That's awesome. And then the football team had the same type of following. They get big
They
crowds.
were good. The football
Yeah.
team was good and when we were there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I forget the name of the coach that they had.
I can't remember.
Anyway, yeah, they were good. I mean, everything was so exciting because it was all brand new, you know?
Yeah.
And every sport did well. Baseball did well, football, basketball.
Yeah.
We had a great golf team, which we were on.
Yeah.
Tennis was good. Every sport level
Yeah.
was really, because I think of the environment and the fact that, you know, everybody had a chance to start something great.
Yeah.
Who was your golf coach?
Gardner.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Gardner. He was a
History teacher.
history. Yeah.
He was a
History
history
teacher.
teacher. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were pretty good. We had a decent team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Richie got a golf scholarship to James Madison.
Is that right?
Semi
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
It was
How'd you guys learn how to play? How'd you guys learn how to play golf?
our dad,
Yeah.
when he went to Wake Forest, he met Arnold Palmer because Palmer was there at the time. And he started that's how he got tuned into golf. He went to watch Arnie and he became friends with him. Not close friends, but mutual friends.
Yeah.
And that's what started it all for us. I mean, he brought back the game of golf from North Carolina, and next thing you know, he's bringing us out on the golf course when we're 6, 7, 8 years old and hitting balls.
Yeah.
Were you guys as serious about golf as you were about basketball?
I think so. I enjoyed golf a lot.
In high school, you mean?
Like, just Yeah, in high school or generally, yeah. I'm sure
Yeah.
now. I'm sure you like golf better now. But
Yeah.
if you guys move like I move, you probably like golf better now.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
we're in Greensboro, Georgia, an hour east of Atlanta.
right.
So we got nice weather down here.
Yeah.
Short winter.
No, exactly. Well, so you had in Robinson. So that's the early '70s. You got George
Right.
Allen coming to the Redskins, and
Right.
they come play basketball at the in the
That's correct.
gym. I've
That's
seen
correct.
pictures. I've seen pictures of those games. And
Yeah,
they were
there's Harlem.
what's
They
that?
played tennis in there.
Well,
They had a women's tennis event, I think.
Yeah.
like in
Um,
Virginia Slim's event, they had that in the gym.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Wow.
That's right. You know, that's funny when we had it was a faculty versus Redskin basketball game.
That's right.
It was a charity game.
Yeah.
So, you know, you had the faculty out there, some of the guys were, but Willie also played, right? And I just remember who was the guy? Jefferson. He was a wide receiver for the
Roy
Redskins.
Jefferson.
Roy Jefferson, yeah. So Willie's out there, he's playing. All of a sudden, he makes this move, and I see Jefferson's eyes light up, and I was like, "Yeah, you don't know what you're dealing with here."
Oh, he still had it.
He was only like 35 or 36 at that point.
Yeah.
He could still play.
Yeah.
And he, you know, all of a sudden he makes this move, and whoa!
Yeah. Yeah, Roy's son Marshall played at Woodson. He was a really good football player, but also a good basketball player. So
Uh-huh.
I knew Roy. I knew Roy a little bit, but
Uh-huh.
yeah. But what about socially? I guess that was like the end of the Vietnam years. So the hippie years are come to an end. I guess the Afro is in. This is before disco.
Before disco, that's right.
So culturally, what do you guys remember about those years? I guess it was a hard rock type music, or what was going on
Yeah, it
culturally?
was. We were into rock and roll,
Yep.
the Beatles, you know, Rolling Stones, that type of thing.
CCR.
CCR.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, anyway, so after you graduated from Robinson, and I know in '74, was it a very difficult time because the Watergate years did that affect your decisions for college? What was the decision making process for George Mason and James Madison?
Stay in school because back then in-state tuition was very low,
Yeah.
as long as you lived in the state.
Yeah, yeah.
And we did up until 1977. And then our parents moved back to New York.
And that's when I transferred back to Manhattan College when they moved back to New York
And I transferred to St. Thomas Aquinas College.
Right.
in Spark Hill, New York, Rockland County, New York.
And Rich, did you play basketball at James Madison and
Not,
St.
I
Thomas?
played golf at James Madison, and then I played basketball at St. Thomas Aquinas. Yeah.
Okay, right.
And you were all what? Go get that thing in the garage. He was all something in the small college or something.
Oh wow! So
Yeah.
you still had it. You still had your
yeah.
basketball game.
Oh yeah, he did.
I did. Like I said earlier, Julian, he was really the star. I was like
No,
the leftover. And today I say I don't want to be a twin anymore.
That's right.
He wasn't. He was
My
better
wife-
than he said.
My wife says, "You don't mean that." I said, "Have you ever been a twin?"
So,
I mean, the comparisons, and his bride does the same thing. The comparisons between the two of us is constant, ongoing, and I'm sick of it.
yeah, yeah, but you always know. I always know the relationship between siblings is strong when I talk to them and they agree to appear together. If they're if they're zooming and they're on different screens, maybe there's a problem. But when they choose to appear together, they usually
Yeah.
must like each other because there's a reason.
Yeah,
why
we
they're
do.
together.
We get along great.
Yeah.
That's why we're living very close to each other here in Georgia.
Yeah.
We're
So-
only
so
2
Chris-
miles apart.
How many miles?
2 miles apart in the same community.
It looks. I mean, you got a beautiful house there. I love that sunroom. So
Thank you.
yeah. So
There's a
Chris,
lake down below the house.
what's that?
There's a lake down below.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. You can golf
with
and
with
fish.
a boat
I'm
with beavers living in it right now.
sure.
I'm serious. They're chewing the wires out of my boat. A and B.
Wow. Yeah, I have a.
But that's my problem, not you. Go ahead.
I live in Loudoun County, near Leesburg. It's really grown up. It's kind of the way Fairfax County was when you guys were there.
Yes.
But I go to my daily bike ride. There's by this creek. I have to be careful because these beavers will shoot out of the creek.
Oh,
And just get in the way. They don't mean any harm, but they just
Yeah.
They shoot out into
Right.
the bike
You
path.
just don't want to. You don't want to hit one with your bike.
No, you're not going to stay up when you hit a beaver. They're big. You can hop over. They call it a bunny hop on your bike, a rabbit, but it's hard to hop over a beaver. They're really thick. So so, but Chris, tell us about going to George Mason. Now, like Robinson, it was a relatively new school, and I know they were building a
Yeah.
basketball program. Did they have the PE building built yet right there on campus, or were you playing off campus then?
We were on campus. It was a smaller gym, not the one they have now. It was a
Right.
smaller gym.
Mhm.
And like I said, we had Carl Jackson, we had Myron Conti, we had some really good players.
Yeah.
But I was only there for 1 year, a year and a half, and then I transferred. So, but I did play golf on their golf team as well at George Mason. Yeah.
And freshmen were eligible the year you were there at George Mason, right?
Yes,
Okay.
to play varsity, yes.
Yeah, I think that was probably a year or two earlier before freshman.
No 3-point line.
Yeah. That would have helped. That really changed the game.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I wish I had it. But
Yeah. So you come up and you become a Jasper, and
Yes.
you come up to what town? Bronx? Is that Bronxville? What town is it in?
It's in Riverdale, New York.
Riverdale, New York.
It's
Yeah.
it's in the Bronx.
Yeah.
It's in
Did
the
you
Bronx.
enjoy Manhattan College?
I did.
Mhm.
I did. I played 1 year on the bed. I was a walk-on and I made the team at Manhattan. And then I actually played on their golf team and had a pretty successful college golf career there.
Mhm.
Met my bride when I was at Manhattan College.
Mhm.
So that was a great thing. And it's good. I enjoyed Manhattan. I had a good time there.
Lots of really rich kids there in that school. That was my memory of it.
Yeah, there was some, and there's some other kids that were from all over. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember kids in my class. Was one kid from Queens. What was his name? I forget his name. But anyway, there was some good kids. We had a good time. We had a nice time.
And Rich, I think was it still called Madison College when you went to James Madison?
It was then at that point Madison College, and it quickly changed to university. Yeah.
Yeah. So my daughter's there now, and she
Oh,
loves
is she?
it. Yeah, they love it too much. It's a great school. Academically, it's great, but it's a party school.
It is a party school.
The kids have a great time down there. But it must have been a much smaller environment when you were there.
Right. Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
think maybe they had 5,000,
Mhm.
maybe.
Yeah.
And the campus is huge now. It was very, very small when I was there.
Yeah.
I think they only had 3 or 4 dorms. That was it.
That's right. And you probably knew a lot of the kids from Northern Virginia from basketball and stuff down
There were,
Yeah.
basketball, more basketball.
Yeah, well, you roomed with
I roomed with Eric Douglas, who was a football player.
Yeah,
And
Tom
God rest his soul, he passed
Yeah.
away.
and T.
And Tom Stanton lived down there. His dad, a very close friend of ours, dad was a professor at James Madison, Dr. Thomas Stanton.
Yeah.
And he taught, what did he teach? He taught
Economics. I think.
economics. Yeah.
Economics.
He was a bright guy.
Yeah.
So he was there.
It's a wonderful place. At this point, no one really cared about the Caulfield name anymore. Those days were over by then.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just disappear into the woods.
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, what happened next? So I tried to find you guys on LinkedIn, and I kind of found you, but I know Chris had quite a career as a golf pro and
Right.
some big time courses. That sounds like a lot of fun. And I know you ran some clubs. Rich, I think you were an executive at a company, but it's really hard to piece it all together on the internet. So what happened after college?
Well, I was lucky enough to land a job at ESPN, and I was there for 17 years.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
Yeah. I was the 7th employee hired.
is that
So I was
right?
there like 2 months before they went on the air.
Wow.
And it was an interesting time. I mean, about a year later, I shared a cubicle with a guy named Steve Bornstein. I'm sure you've heard that name.
Yeah.
And kind of rode on his coattails. He became president of the network and then NFL Network, and done very well for himself. But he was a tough cookie to work for. The hardest guy I ever had to work for.
Yeah.
He was smart as, I mean, he knew 2 steps ahead of you every time, something was going to happen. It was just amazing to watch.
Did you know ESPN was going to make it? Now, in retrospect, it sounds like a no-brainer. A 24-hour sports channel sounds like a no-brainer. But at the time, there was nothing like it.
Right.
Cable wasn't even everywhere, and I knew they had a close alliance with the Big East because that's when I started watching ESPN. I was watching,
Right.
Georgetown Hoyas versus St. John's, and
St.
I mean,
John's, right?
yeah, those were just tremendous years for basketball fans, and I was in
Yep.
high school at the time. But what did you have a sense that ESPN was going to make it?
Well, what happened, Julian, was we were not going to make it if we tried to live on advertising revenue alone. We had to get the cable operators to pay us to carry our network, and we did, and that changed everything. We had 2 streams of income, and we could pay for the rights fees that we needed to pay to get the sports that we needed. And that was like probably 84, 85. So we were on the air for about 5 years, 6 years before they started paying us.
Mm.
And it changed everything.
How important was the Big East to the survival of
Oh,
ESPN?
tremendously important. It gave us such credibility. And it seemed like every week there was this huge game, and it was only on our network. I mean, the networks themselves couldn't do anything during the week unless it was a World Series or an NFL playoff game. They never showed any sports during the week. So we had Monday night basketball in the Big East, which everybody watched. We broke all kinds of records for audience reviews.
Yeah. So when you look at media today, you have ESPN is still alive and well, and there's a tennis channel, there's NBA. I mean, there's different sport channels.
Golf channels, don't forget the golf
Yeah,
channel.
yeah. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest ones.
I
Uh,
know.
but there's just guys like me who just have podcasts. There's athletes that used to wait to get on ESPN, but now they just have their own podcast.
Right.
What are your perspectives of the sports media today?
I'm an analog guy trapped in a digital world.
Yeah,
There's the technology is moving so fast. I mean, I
yeah.
can't. I saw. I'm a big LSU fan because 2 of my daughters went there, but I can tell you another ESPN story about it too. But Brian Kelly, quarterback. I mean, the coach of the Tigers said they paid $18 million in NIL fees to get these guys to transfer to LSU, and I was like, holy God, that's so different than what it was 5 years ago, where none of these people can do anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of a minuscule example of what's going on. There's so many changes with technology and AI. I mean, you can spend a month on that stuff.
Yeah.
But
It's really
it's crazy in my mind just to see what's going on with all this stuff.
Yeah, it really is. The stakes are so high now. Like a player like Dave Kester's, or even you guys would have felt pressure to go to private schools because you want to give yourself every opportunity now, not only to get a scholarship, but to make NIL money. So it's kind of
Right.
decimated. I do a lot of the current sports as well, and it's really decimated the public leagues. Like a lot of the good players are in private schools, and not just private schools like that you would have heard of, like Gonzaga or DeMatha or St. Stephen,
Right.
but these little like online type schools where they practice all day and then
Wow.
you know,
Oh, really?
yeah,
That's
they've
interesting.
it's really changed the environment around here. I mean, the schools still have great events. We still get on a Friday night, we still get a couple thousand people for a game, and
Yeah.
there's good players out there, but it's really changed the path for a lot of players, and
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is, which is back then playing for your public school was it. You didn't want to do anything else besides be there for the Robinson West Springfield game in front
Well,
of
that's
six
right.
thousand people.
That's
Right.
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 That was it. So, what about you, Chris? So you got into the golf world, and I know, I'm sure a lot of people who envy you. I'm sure you're going to tell them, well, it's not glamorous every day. But tell us a little bit about the world of country clubs and teaching golf.
Yeah, well, when I started to get into the golf business, it was 1981. I started out as an assistant, as most of the guys did, and worked at a club for 3 years in Rockland County. And then I ended up finding a place in Westchester County, a place called Doral Arrowwood. Actually, at that point, it was called Arrowwood of Westchester. It was a 9-hole facility that was owned by Citibank, and it had just opened up. It was a resort conference center, but they had a 9-hole golf course. And so they were actually looking for somebody like myself to come along and head up their golf program. I just at the right place at the right time. So I ended up getting the head pro position there. And then after about 5 years, we were bought by the people that owned Doral in Miami. And they came in and they totally renovated the golf course. They changed it completely. Still 9 holes, but they changed it. And I was kept on as the director of golf, and I was there for 22 years running that whole operation. I did lots of teaching, ran tournaments. I did everything that a golf pro would do. And then I left there in 2006, and I joined a club in Westchester County called Saxon Woods Golf Course, which is a public golf course, and I was the director of instruction there, and I was there for 12 years.
Wow.
So I had a pretty good run as working as a head pro and a director of instruction. That golf course, Saxon Woods, is literally right around the corner from Wingfoot Golf Club.
Yeah.
So it's a big golf community, big golf area.
What do you tell people, good golfers, great golfers that want to make a career in the golf industry? Are there great opportunities there? I mean, obviously you had some great opportunities, but is it manageable to find a career in golf?
It is. It's funny, Julie, you should ask me that because right now I'm working down here just as a part-time, working as a starter at a private club called Cuscawilla, which is like just 2 towns over. But I had a conversation the other day with the assistant pro, and we were just talking about the golf business and and how you can advance. And I told him, the fastest way you can advance your career in golf is by playing good golf, by getting recognized by the people at your club or other clubs that you can play the game well. Because everybody wants a good player to work as their head pro. That's the fastest way you can do it. Yeah, you can go, you can become a specialist at teaching in other areas, running a business. But if you want to really climb the ladder quick, get out there and get your name out there as a player. And fortunately for me, I was able to play pretty good when I was at my job.
There's an interesting story. He's just working at this place, and he one day somebody said, "You know who that guy is?" And he goes, "No." He says, "Joe Forte."
You know Joe?
He's a referee, isn't he?
Yeah. He reffed our games.
Yeah, he reffed our high school games.
He remembers, and he went up to him and said, "Do you remember Robinson High School?" And he said, "Will Jones."
Yeah.
He's one of those legendary referee names that you hear.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He's like 85 years old, plays every day.
He's a member at the club that I'm working at part time.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something. What's that?
I'm sorry, Julie. You know who else was a member there? Don McCool.
Yes, that's right. He retired there.
Yeah, at Lake Oconee.
Did you guys talk? Did you guys talk to Don McCool, Coach McCool?
I know. He passed away 2 years ago, I think. So I didn't get to see him, but Joe Forte told me that Don was a member there. I thought that was pretty cool.
You were saying that the best way to have success in the golf business is to be a good golfer. There's something very impressive about a person with a nice swing and can play golf. I mean, for business, for anything you want to do. I was never a very good golfer. My father played all the time and was, I don't want to say he was terrible, but he never improved like he should have. And he always felt like it would have been
such a hard game.
What's that?
It's such a hard game.
It's a hard game.
Yeah.
It's relentless and it's unforgiving.
They make it look easy on TV, don't they?
It's let me ask you this about golf. So I'm a tennis player and I watch the U.S. Open, and I try to watch some of the tournaments during the year, but the tennis has changed so much in like 40 years or so. I mean, they don't serve them volley anymore. I mean, the power is unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, the game is completely unrecognizable.
The size of the athletes.
The athlete, they're athletes now. Back then, they were tennis players, but now they are athletes. They are they're big guys. Has golf changed like that as well? Is golf a very different game than it was 40 years ago?
Absolutely, same thing. Golf is. They talk about the importance of how long you can hit it. And I remember when DeChambeau won the U.S. Open at Winged Foot a couple years back, right? I think it was 2020. He's one of the longest hitters in the game. I mean, 350 is nothing for him off the tee. They said, yeah, but the rough is so deep, you know. Well, what happened was he hit it so far, all he had was wedges into a lot of greens. And that, because you hit a wedge versus a 5-iron is a big difference.
Yeah.
And as a result of hitting wedges, he was able to get it close, even though he was coming out of the rough. And he ended up winning the tournament because of his length.
But it's across all sports. I mean, it's just the size of the two women in the women's final for tennis. My goodness. I mean, geez. And hitting the ball so hard, I couldn't hit that back. Could you?
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, Sabalenka is she is no joke.
And then the other one, she's going to be good too. Asimova, what's her name?
I forget.
Yeah.
Asimova.
Well,
Not Asimova.
Well, could the golfers, our youth like Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player and Johnny Miller, would those guys be successful today?
If they had the right technology, yes.
Yeah.
Technology in golf is such a big advantage too.
Yeah.
Not just with clubs, but all the information the data that's available to you.
Yeah. Well, Nicklaus was known as a very long hitter back in his day.
Mm-hmm.
And with, if you put him in today in a younger body with the technology, I think he'd be right there.
Yeah.
Right.
I really do.
Yeah.
And then, you got Rory McIlroy who hits it 350. It's amazing. Nowadays, if you're not a 300-yard hitter, you're considered short on the PGA Tour. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm lucky if I hit a 275.
Yeah.
They're hitting at 350.
Yeah, 275. I remember I used to love Calvin Peete for obvious reasons, and he was a real trailblazer, but he never could hit the ball very far.
Right.
But
always in the fairway.
Always in I think greens and regulation, he led the PGA
every year.
Every
year.
Could a guy like that? Could a guy like that survive today?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think so. Simply because he'd always be in the fairway. I mean, wouldn't be in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he wasn't a great putter either. He was an average putter.
Average putter.
But he was he led the league 10 years in a row. It's an amazing stat.
Yeah.
With a broken left arm.
Yeah. He couldn't straighten his left arm, right?
No, he broke it as a kid, falling out of a tree.
Wow.
And then it just shows you don't have to have a straight left arm. You can have a little crook to it.
Yeah. Well, guys, what is your connection back to Northern Virginia and Fairfax area these days? Have you guys come back to visit? Do you have good memories of Robinson?
Oh, wonderful memories. My wife has a sister that lives in Arlington, although they're now in California. But
that's Beth. That's Beth Abraham.
Yes, Beth.
Yes.
That's sorry. Yes. And her husband, John. Did you know John at all?
I've met him. So Beth, we call her Miss Abraham because she taught my son. And she is one of the most well-regarded teachers I've ever seen in any building. She was a wonderful math teacher, and her son was a great soccer player. And her daughter, beautiful family. So I don't know them well, but I know her as a great teacher. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have some relatives in Richmond, but not in other than Northern Virginia, Arlington. We haven't been back in years.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm wondering what our old house would look like, or even Robinson would look like, to be honest with you.
What's your old address on Concordia? You remember the number?
5205.
5205.
And 5204.
If you go by, take a picture, send it to me, would you?
Yeah, I will because I still live in the area. My parents sold our house. We lived on a corner of Portsmouth Road and Sideburn, so we would live right next to.
Oh, sure, you're right around the corner.
Yeah.
So you're like the next street over. Almost.
That's right, because you lived on Concordia. What Ed Henry, the famous coach, I guess he moved in after you guys. He lived on that road, Concordia.
He did. He lived on our.
He bought our house.
He was the guy. He was the coach. Remember the Titans?
He was the coach of the Marshall team and the Titans. He was a Robinson coach when I was there.
Yeah,
just wonderful guys. His great kids. His daughter was a track star. His wife coached the swim team at Robinson. I think when you guys were there, she may have even been the swim team coach.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, so you guys you don't go to James Madison much, or George Mason never come visit? Yeah,
No,
No, I can't say we do.
yeah,
just kind of, that's in the past. It's great past, but it's in the past.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, we've stayed close to a couple of friends through, from high school. One passed away, unfortunately, but so every now and then we'll see him on Facebook, or my wife will see him, and oh, look how old she looks.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people are going to be really excited when I post this interview because we do have a lot of a lot of folks in our basketball community from that time period.
Yeah.
And when I told people I was interviewing you, they were very excited because
Oh,
folks knew who you were. They had not heard from you. You moved away, and I guess they had assumed it was because of your father, but it just turns out you guys were busy and never really looked back.
yeah.
So which is interesting because I think you guys really are nowhere to be found anywhere.
You found us, Julian.
I did, yeah. So, well, look, guys, I really enjoyed meeting you guys. I was going to say, if you ever in the area, definitely I'd love to get coffee. But yeah, if I'm
Hey,
ever in Georgia,
if you're ever in Georgia or Atlanta, let us know. We'd love to have you.
yeah. But I will definitely get this up and post. I'm sure people are gonna reach out to you when they see this. Unfortunately, I think Carl may have passed recently. I have not heard from him in the last
Oh,
few
really?
years. Yeah,
Oh, too bad.
I think so because I heard from him a lot until like 3 years ago, and he's a wonderful personality, just a nice guy. But he's a guy who would get a big kick out of hearing from you. Will passed away about several
Yeah.
years ago. Will Jones did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think he was in down Norfolk area.
He was
wasn't
down. He coached at Norfolk State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He coached. He
Virginia
coached for
Beach.
many, many years.
I think he was living in Virginia Beach when he passed.
Yeah, some kind of cancer.
Yeah.
But he had a great run. I mean,
Oh,
the Will Jones stories never end. I mean, you guys
Oh,
you
isn't
guys
that
had
the
some
truth?
G-rated ones, but we have all kinds of levels of Will Jones stories. So if you get
He
Red
was a
Jenkins,
character.
what's
When,
that?
when did he when did he leave? He leave after the 75s team?
So I know they had a
He
guy
went to
named
Maryland. He went to Maryland, right?
Roscoe Dean took over at some point, and he did really well at Lee when you guys were at Robinson. But there was a
Yeah.
coach before him after Jones that did not work out well. I can't think of his name. I'm slipping on his name now. So it
Hmm.
probably was the '76 season.
Okay.
He went to Maryland, became an
Yeah,
assistant
worked
coach
for
for
Lefty
Lefty.
Drizel.
Yeah, and then he coached at UDC, which you probably know.
Right.
Won a
Right. He won
national,
the he won the NCAA. He won
yeah.
the NCAA tournament.
Coached
Yeah.
the great Earl Jones, who
Right.
played for the Lakers.
Right. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And then he bounced around a little bit, and then he coached at Norfolk State, and he did well down there. But it's funny, I interviewed a guy who played at Norfolk State, played for him, and he had no idea what a legend Will Jones was. And I guess by the time he
Oh,
played for him, he was an older guy, and they didn't do very well. And I was like, and this guy does movies. He's a movie maker. He's very talented. And I was like, you should do a movie about Will Jones. He says, why?
Yeah.
I said that guy. If you get people talking who knew him, they'll just tell you stories about him. And when he was, I guess there was a place called Turkey Thicket, was a pickup place in D.C., legendary place in the early '60s. A guy named Skeeter Swift had played there, one of the early stars in the ABA from Northern
Yeah.
Virginia. Anyway, Will was a legendary player, and he just touched
Yeah.
so many people. And I mean, the women loved Will Jones, from what I hear.
Yeah.
There's just so many stories about
it is.
Jones.
It was great.
He was a great guy. We loved him. We did. We absolutely loved him.
Yeah. And I'm sure you guys were in the early end of his coaching career, right? He
Right.
was
Yeah, we
probably
were-
just kind of developing a style when you guys had him.
Absolutely. I think we were his first team that he coached. I'm
Right.
pretty sure we were. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he was an assistant for a guy named Maynard Haycliffe, or I can't get his name, but a legendary coach at Washington and Lee or Wakefield High School. He was assistant
Wakefield.
coach for
Yeah.
him. What's that?
I think it was Wakefield.
It was Wakefield. A guy named was
Yeah.
Maynard or something, and Will would come in late. He'd come late to practice all the time. And so, everyone always has stories about Will, but they always tell the stories with a smile. It's always with a smile.
Yeah. Always with a smile, right?
Yeah.
He was a character.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, guys, look, thanks again for your time. I really enjoyed meeting you. Great guys.
Yeah, this was
Wonderful
great.
story. I hope I didn't offend you with any questions about your father.
No, don't worry about that.
Yeah. One day there should be a movie about him because
Yeah.
there seems like there's a lot there that he was involved in a lot of, interesting stuff in a pivotal time for our country. So,
Yeah. I hear
yeah.
you.
So,
Well, thank you, Julian. Appreciate it very much, man.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it.
yeah. Well, great. I'm glad you did. It was great meeting you. Let's keep in touch.
All
Okay,
right,
sounds
great.
good.
All right, guys. Take care now. Have a good evening.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So
All right.
long,
You're welcome.
Julie.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye bye now.